We begin with my most sincere condolences to the city of Boston for having been selected as the American nominee to host the Summer Olympics of 2024. The decision as to whether or not Boston actually gets those games will be made at a meeting of the International Olympic Committee in 2017. So if you live in or near Boston or any of the proposed Boston Olympic venues and you think your city might win and you want to beat the rush, you have more than 2 years to sell your home and move as damned far away as possible. The Olympics, once merely a nuisance like an asteroid hitting the Earth would be a nuisance. The Olympics, once merely a financial boondoggle like the unbridled public larceny from the 1976 games that they're still trying to sort out in Montreal was a boondoggle. The Olympics, once merely the stage for every expression of human greed, schizophrenic priority making, and pointless construction like the bubonic plague outbreaks in Europe of the Middle Ages were a stage. The Olympics have now begun to be a real problem. As my ESPN colleague Gordon Eads pointed out, the last 4 Summer Olympics cost an average of $19 billion each. The Boston Herald says the 2024 games could cost that city $24 billion. And every host city, summer and winter, probably since ancient Greece, has insisted it could get it done without going into hock and basically using only extant stadiums and without every store and restaurant and hotel resorting to price gouging and without destroying the lives of the, people who live there for the months and months before the virtual lockdown that the actual Olympic Games impose upon your highways, streets, taxis, mass transit, bike paths, skateboard lanes, canals, sewers, trolleys, monorails, autogyros, and sidewalks. And all of those claims are always lies. Eads also notes that the premise of getting the games, Boston will become an international tourist destination forever and ever now, is nonsense. Annually, 3 of the most famous tourist traps on the planet, Disney World, the Eiffel Tower, the Great Wall of China, have fewer visitors than did the marketplace at Boston's historic Faneuil Hall. Not historic Faneuil Hall itself. Faneuil Hall plus all the places around it that sell tchotchkes. Boston doesn't want it, and Boston doesn't need it, and even if Boston doesn't get it, its taxpayers could still wind up doing what Chicago did in its losing bid to host the 2016 games, waste $100 million. Now, if Boston does beat out the other cities, that's when the fun really begins. The Garden, Harvard Stadium, arenas at BC and BU, and countless other public places, the Olympic folks get to take them over and retrofit them as needed. South of downtown, they'll build a 60,000-seat stadium for the opening and closing ceremonies at ridiculous prices, and then tear it down at even more ridiculous prices. They'll build an Olympic Village to house the athletes, and when the athletes all leave, they'll make it part of UMass Boston, or, if any previous Olympics are your guide, the village will remain unoccupied, and the only residents will be ghosts. I covered one American Olympics, Lake Placid 1980, and even that tiny city, built to withstand and exploit winter, came to a screeching and dangerous halt. Transportation was so bad that buses had to be brought in from as far away as Ohio, and the picturesque center of Lake Placid became a giant improvised bus depot from which fumes were belched 24 hours a day. And still, nobody could get anywhere. As one visitor wrote, "We know well that it is impossible to be in 2 places at once. In Lake Placid, we have learned that it is impossible to be in 1 place at once." And in 1984, I worked in Boston. It's long ago, but not that long. The area has retained, at least in terms of sports, a kind of proud provinciality, a studied cluelessness about anything happening south or west of, say, Southington, Connecticut. In other words, the Olympics? You mean the Bruins farm team from the Eastern Hockey League in the 40s? The Olympics! Yeah, the Boston Olympics! The year I worked there, I was at Channel 5, which was then an ABC station, and ABC televised the 1984 Summer Olympics. So when people, potential 2024 Boston Olympic consumers, or at least their parents, called in to complain, we had to take the calls. The phone calls never stopped. I thought you'd like to see a report I did on the phone calls from August 1984. There is some hyperbole in this, but we were asked all of these questions except the last one. The first guy you'll see on the tape is my ex-colleague Mike Lynch, who's still there because why should I be the only person humiliated by a 30-year-old piece of videotape?
By a week from Sunday night, ABC will have completed 180 hours of Olympic coverage. Now, not all of you are getting enough of your favorite events, and you've let us know it here at Channel 5. So we've commissioned our own Keith Olbermann to handle the complaints.
Channel 5 Metro Media.
The phones have been ringing off the hook.
Channel 5 Metro Media.
And off the cord and off the wire and out of the wall. The Olympics have inspired more viewer phone calls than anything else we can remember. We appreciate your calls. We really do.
but sometimes we're overwhelmed by them.
777. It's the ABC. No, sir, it's not Channel 5.
So to save time, here are some of our answers to your most popular questions.
No, we don't know where the judo is. No, you can't come on the air and offer an editorial reply to Howard Cosell. No, we cannot provide you with videotape copies of the opening ceremonies. No, the luge is a winter sport. No, I didn't hire Jim Lampley. No, I don't know why they won't even up the uneven bars. No, we cannot get Jim McKay on the phone for you. No, there isn't any Olympic bowling. No, that isn't Ryan's Hope you're watching. That's the modern pentathlon.
Quite seriously, if you have a complaint, we'd recommend you contact ABC directly. It's their show. The number in New York is 212-887-7777. That's 212-887-7777. Operators are standing by.
No, we don't have a dime.
Thanks, Keith. Great report. I left out the best phone call. Guy calls up, says he's watching this game he's never seen before. He wants to know what it is. I look up at the TV screen. It's a soccer game. Soccer, he says. I like it. Where's it being played? I explained it was at the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl. That sounds nice. Where's the Rose Bowl? I explained it was in Pasadena. Pasadena, he says thoughtfully. What part of Boston is that? I explained Pasadena was in California. California, he says thoughtfully. What part of Boston is that? This continued for 5 minutes. Is it near Walpole? Is it near Woburn? Is it near Worcester? I finally convinced him it was about 3,000 miles away. Oh, he said. Oh. Which train do I take, Green Line or Red Line? Boston, you do not want the Olympics.